It's the most divinely beautiful. Thank you, Christina. I'm going to miss this. This has been so much fun. As Christina said, every Tuesday this month, we've been doing these different talks. And it was kind of fun because we didn't announce the topics. We just said, Stacia's going to do something. Come on over, basically. And what I've been doing is taking you on retro tours of Walt Disney's original Disneyland. Not every single thing, not, like I'm going to issue a quiz or something at the end, but just fun stuff I felt like talking about. Because it's my show. So, and we've been having a marvelous time. And a lot of things I think guests have been surprised at. Things that have long been forgotten, or things you might have probably remembered from when you were little. And that's been a wonderful thing. After the show, we always reminisce about stuff. So I've been having a good time. But today is my favorite show. It's the last one. And it's kind of a wrap it all up show. It's called, as you might guess, Theme Songs of Disneyland. If any of you have been to any of the previous days in this series, you'll know that I've been playing theme songs from each of the lands of Walt's original park. So we will be revisiting those songs. So if they sound familiar, yes, you heard them before, but no one's probably heard all of them. But there are quite a few other things in this show that no one's heard anywhere. So you'll have a lot of original stuff. Disneyland Guidebook, does anyone have one? No. No, does anyone want one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, they're terrific, and what's fun about them is they are completely full of artwork and drawings because they had to go to press before things were finished, and there was nothing to take pictures of. So it's a real thinking of how Disneyland is going to be documented as opposed to just photos of how it was way back when. But we're going to have a little surprise now and again, not only some Disneyland memorabilia, but memorabilia from a few other things in Disney history. For example, here is a big montage of wonderful paper ephemera from 1955, parking passes and guide material, and there was no lack of publicity for Disneyland when it was getting ready to open, and of course all the opening day goodies too. But Disneyland is not the only thing that turns 70 this year. Did you know that? Well, I'll tell you one thing, although I'm not going to celebrate it in our show, it is also the 70th anniversary of Lady in the Tramp. So if you have any pets, go give them a kiss and say happy Lady in the Tramp anniversary. But also turning 70 this year was the original Mickey Mouse Club, the original television series that first went on the air in October of 1955. However, the Mouseketeers' first public appearance was here on Disneyland's opening day, July 17th of 1955, which makes it very funny because they were filming, but they didn't go on the air until October, so no one knew who or what they were. Even Art Linklater, he's commentating on the parade going, oh, look, there's the, you can hear wrestling newspaper, the performing children, yes. So there was about several months of question marks going on, and then in October the questions were answered and the Mickey Mouse Club became an American household staple. But as might be guessed, as with Walt's weekly television series, which had begun a year earlier, the Mickey Mouse Club also figured prominently into the cross-promotion of Disneyland because Walt wanted to make sure everyone knew not just that Disneyland was open, but what you could do there. So the Mickey Mouse Club had 5 days a week, weekday hour-long shows. That was a prodigious production commitment, I'll tell you that. And they had national competitions for the Friday show, which was called Talent Roundup. The Mouseketeers had their Western outfits, they went to Dry Gulch, and they had people from all over the country who had won long before any talent shows on television. This was the one where kids were able to show off their stuff, and it was really a lot of fun. Real honest to goodness kids from all over the country. But occasionally, they would have a Mouseketeer appear as the talent that would be rounded up that Friday. So before beginning our musical travelogue of the park itself, I wanted you to hear a song from the early days of the Mickey Mouse Club that captured how the kids of America felt about Disneyland at this time. Jimmy Dodd, who was the adult leader of the Mickey Mouse Club, will introduce this. And this is from the show's second broadcast month, and the show's date is November 25th, 1955. So Disneyland isn't even 6 months old yet. So here we go with, I think appropriately for this month, a song called Disneyland Birthday.
Musketeers, my
My next talent for today is Tommy. And Tommy's going to sing a song called Disneyland Resort. Tommy boy?
Mother, is it time to be my birthday? My other one was awful long ago. The next one could be very much a birthday. 'Cause Disneyland is open now, and Mother, don't you know? A kid can ride the riverboat and see the jungle too, or go aboard a rocket ship the way the spacemen do. I steer a motorboat myself and drive a supercar, and in Sleeping Beauty's castle I could wish upon a star. I'd like to see the Alamo someday because it's day, and ride the horse carts all along that makes the USA. Then I love to take the train, and when the ride was through, I'd walk right up to Mickey Mouse and say, howdy do. I've gone to bed most every time, just when you said I should. And every night I wash my neck and scrub my elbows good. So if I've got a birthday soon, I think it would be grand. Mother, can I? Well, I mean, may I? Go to Disneyland.
That was wonderful, Tommy, wonderful. Now, here's what idea. Well, Master Dears, did I or did I not bring in some fine talent today?
Don't you love the bribery part about how clean he keeps himself? Disneyland. So that's a favorite number of mine, and that was actually written by the mouse cheerleader Jimmy Dodd, music-wise, and the lyrics were by Bob Amsbury, another adult who appeared on the Mickey Mouse Club, and Disney scriptwriter Jack Spears, who wrote a lot of the introductions that Walt Disney did himself on the Sunday night anthology show. Tommy Cole, by the way, Mouseketeer Tommy, grew up to be an Emmy Award-winning makeup artist, and he still sings up a storm. He's a great, great guy. So, happy Disneyland birthday, and I hope you get to go for your birthday too. But for now, we're going to take a little look at those theme songs I mentioned. Now, oops, did you see that before? Have I been not paying attention? That is called a lead sheet, by the way. And when the talent is going to record something for a movie or a TV show, this is the copy they get with just the melody and the music, and the orchestra has their own music. But this is the one that they make the notes on and all kinds of stuff when they're thinking about the way to use it in a show. So that's an original lead sheet from the Mickey Mouse Club broadcast that we just heard the soundtrack from. The Disney hour-long television series premiered in October of 1954, so this is many months before July of 55. So Walt wanted to acquaint people with what his park would be. Therefore, every week the show was presented as being from an individual land of Disneyland. Like tonight from Tomorrowland, we have Our Friend the Addo, that's the name of the program. Or this week from Fantasyland, we have Goofing Around with Donald Duck. So they had those lands and the land logos before the public every week to acquaint them with things. But also, you saw some of that paper at the beginning from 1955, the guidebooks and the promotional brochures and things like that. They had a lot of merchandise that was going national to tell people about Disneyland as well, because they already had a lot of relationships in place with people like Western Publishing, and you come in if you grew up with Little Golden Books, you know, the ones with the foil bindings, yeah? And Little Golden Books and Sticker Fund and coloring books and frame tray puzzles, all these things were presented with Disneyland as the theme. So again, the kids would realize what was there. So Tommy Cole wasn't too far off in his yearning to do all these things at Disneyland, because kids were very aware from not only the stuff they had, but from the progress reports on the property that they would see Walt present every week on the anthology series. So part of that merchandise array, if you will, was something that I love very much, which is records. If I have one big collectible Mr. Toad mania, you know, where your eyes do this, it would be phonograph records. I've been collecting Disney phonograph records since I was about 4, which is when I made off with the one from my brother's room that I wanted. That was the beginning of my collection. And every time we have an expo for D23, I'm very proud to say that I've been invited to do a show called Sounds Delightful, which is things that haven't been digitized or put on CD or anything. They exist only on vinyl, and they all have to be, the caveat is they all have to be things from my collection so that I can 100% vouch for their authenticity. So if you're ever at the D23 Expo, look for Sounds Delightful in your program, because that's me basically locking you in a dark room, making you listen to my record collection. It's lots of fun. But I think we have some action going on here, do we? We try it, okay, let's see. So, there we go. Look, it's records, yay. Well, the records were very important because, thank you guys, not only were they pretty and had good graphics and things like that, but they told stories. They took you places sonically and created an environment and told you what you might find when you finally ended up in a part of Disneyland. I did want to give credit to that wonderful quartet that sang. You know who some of these people are. On the far left is Bill Lee, who was a very famous Hollywood baritone. And how many of you know The Sound of Music? Okay, you're listening to Bill Lee sing, not Christopher Plummer. The Sound of Music. Next to him is Max Smith, the second tenor, frequent Disney recording artist. Bob Stevens, the first tenor. And on the far end there, that's Thurl Ravenscroft with a big bass voice. You know him from being the lead graveyard bust in the Haunted Mansion, singing Ring Ring Ghosts. And he's about every other pirate that isn't Paul Frees in Pirates of the Caribbean. He also, in other venues, was the original voice of Tony the Tiger. Really? He was, yes, indeed. And all 4 of them, the Mellow Men is what they went by, had lots of roles in Disney films. They're the cards that paint the roses red in Alice in Wonderland. And most memorably, they are the dogs that howl Home Sweet Home in Lady and the Tramp, also a barbershop quartet arrangement. When they went to record that, they cracked each other up so much they had to get 4 microphones after lunch and have them each record in a corner so that they wouldn't look at each other, because you make some fun faces when you're howling like a dog. And they just couldn't get through it. Could not get through it, which was great. But now, back to Meet Me Down on Main Street. This song had lyrics by Disney storyman Tom Adair and music by Oliver Wallace, and it was adapted from another pre-existing song in 1950, Crazy Over Daisy. So I have a clip of Walt telling you exactly how this happened.
Now here's an example of how a story did originate from a song. We have theme songs for all our other cartoon characters, except Donald Duck's girlfriend, Daisy. Now, being one of our favorites, Daisy had to have a song. So we gave the assignment to one of our composers, Oliver Wallace. Daisy. What rhymes with Daisy? Daisy, hazy, amazing, crazy, crazy. Crazy over Daisy. That's it. Crazy. Yeah. I think that sounds like you, Donald. Crazy over Daisy. That's it. Let's see what we can do. Okay, Donald boy, let's play it once through, see how you like it.
And Oliver Wallace, I'm glad that we can see him here. He's somebody you have to thank for a lot. The orchestral score to Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, and his Oscar-winning score behind Dumbo and many others. But that's exactly what happened. He wrote it for that cartoon, and then when they needed a good Main Street song, even though you think, well, that's a done song, and it's a perfect set of lyrics, they came up with new lyrics, and that's a done song too, isn't it? It's a perfect set of lyrics for Main Street USA. So good properties can have many lives. But like in many good shows, I think it's time we do something that most people don't enjoy generally. Let's have a commercial. What could this be for? Why, it's for date night at Disneyland.
Let's dance at Disneyland. Date nights are late nights at Disneyland. Sidelines of that night each night. Friday and Saturday nights. Date nights at Disneyland. Dancing the hands into real our dance. And young twinkling lights. Friday and Saturday nights. Dance slow and dream. Or cha-cha-cha. Don't play whatever you say. Take your dates to Disneyland. Fireworks are great at Disneyland. Sidelights up at night each night. When we ride in the cool lights. Under a million twinkling lights.
That special radio ad was recorded April of 1958, live in the Golden Horseshoe, which is where the LP Date Night at Disneyland was recorded, inside because of the acoustics, featuring the Elliott brothers, who performed at Plaza Gardens, which is where Fantasy Fair is today. But you saw that dance floor, you saw Walt and Lily cutting a rug, they enjoyed it too. That is the very same terrazzo floor that's still at Fantasy Fair today. So really, beautifully, as they call it, cured dance floor, so they can have Big Band dancing again if they want to, and I think they do. Now, meanwhile, back to our theme. The theme songs at Disneyland, as I mentioned, were available to kids so they could learn about the parks. And the best ones that all the little kids could get were, of course, the ones that were not an expensive LP. That cost like $4.95. These were the little ones that cost $0.25. They're little golden records, just like the little golden books we talked about, but they're records. And, you know, they're little plastic discs. They were meant to be sort of indestructible in the hands of 5, 6, 7-year-olds, but sadly they weren't. So a lot of them did not survive to see today. But I'm very pleased to have a collection of all of the little golden discs of the Disneyland theme songs. So what we're going to hear today are actually the sounds from that plastic disc, and it's amazing how you can clean things up nowadays if you digitize them the right way with the right vacuum cleaner. But this is actually the sound from the plastic disc. And these were released just a little bit in advance of the park's opening, and each of these songs were written by some rather prestigious people. Norman Luboff, who was a choral director of great renown, wrote all of the music, all the melodies, and the lyrics were by a young lady named Marilyn Keith. Now, they wrote these in New York. They hadn't seen Disneyland. They just got some concept sketches and said, go. So, okay. But Marilyn Keith later did come out to California, and she married Alan Bergman. You ever heard that name? He just actually passed away in his 90s, like last week. And as Marilyn and Alan Bergman together, the pair wrote Oscar-winning lyrics like "The Windmills of Your Mind" and "The Way We Were." So think of Marilyn Keith, now later Marilyn Bergman, and her Oscar-winning lyric future as you listen to the fun lyrics of these happy little songs. We're going to start moving clockwise from Main Street with Adventureland.
How would you like to take a ride on the riverboat?
How would you like to meet a lion face to face?
If you think you'd like to see monkeys swinging from a tree, Adventureland, that's the place. How would you like to see a baby crocodile?
Maybe you'll run across an alligator too.
If you think you'd like to go where the tiger lilies grow, Adventureland, that's for you.
song. And the Jungle Cruise was a very heavily anticipated element of Disneyland when it opened, because only Walt Disney, everyone said, could build a jungle in the middle of an orange grove, but yet he did. They had to really work at it. Getting there was one of the earliest projects because jungles have to grow. So they started the plants growing as soon as they could after the land was cleared. But even to make it as jungly as possible, they had to do things like take some of the walnut trees and replant them upside down so the exotic roots looked like jungle growth. And they kind of replaced those after a while. But it was really something people were lining up to see in a great way. It was Walt Disney's personal jungle. Pretty amazing. Now, one of the biggest things that was going on television at the time of Disneyland's opening was the TV Western. Now, practically every other TV show featured a cowboy or some covered wagons or, wild Western, something or other. So this was a huge thing. And before Disneyland opened, Walt Disney himself had premiered his Davy Crockett television series on the Disneyland television show. And it started a national craze. The Davy Crockett song went gold and platinum, and every kid in the world wanted to wear a Davy Crockett hat. So it was huge, and Frontierland therefore became kind of the central hub for all things cowboy and Crockett. So here, again, the Luboff and Keith combination is the exciting Frontierland Little Golden Record.
When our country was young, a lot of tales been told, a lot of songs been sung about the men came to wilderness who fought with their hands, that you and I might live in this mightiest of lands. Danger is gone, but the spirit is the same. The pioneer lives on, cause the pioneer is a cowboy, the Indian was his friend. The story of the West ain't never gonna end.
You saw briefly in there a photo of Wally Bogue, a Disney legend, as President Pecos Bill at the Golden Horseshoe in Frontierland. That was the longest running Guinness World Record holding stage show for many years. It ran for over 30 years, and Wally was a mainstay of that. Also, you've heard him practically every day at Disneyland, every day since the Tiki Room opened at least, because he is the voice of Jose, the bird in the Enchanted Tiki Room.